Hi there, guys. This is episode 6. We've made it this far of the WP Builds podcast. It's a bit of a special one this time around because we've got the founding fathers, or at least two of them, of a Beaver Builder plugin with us today. And because it's a little bit special, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We would normally just have me and David Wormsley droning on and on. But this time there's going to be 4 of us on the call at the same time, and we're going to play a few games, exhibit some bad clothing, maybe demonstrate what we're drinking, give some stuff away. That's important, so stick around till the end because they very, very kindly offered to give some Beaver Builder swag, and some of those things are really worth having. And also we're on video, so hi, this is what I actually look like. I'm Nathan Wrigley from the north of England, and maybe you guys want to introduce yourself one at a time? David, probably.
Yeah,
first.
well, I'm David. Well, you'll know who I am anyway. DavidWormsley.com. And I've been desperate to get my drink going, actually. So I've been waiting for this to start.
There we go.
What have you got?
Shall I tell you what I'm on?
Yeah.
I'm on Fenny, which is a local drink. It's kind of like paint stripper, but it's made out... really puts hairs on your chest. No, but it's made out of cashews.
Interesting.
And your background, I mean, the background there is suitably gaudy, very cool indeed, and the nice hat. I might put my Santa hat on. I've got my child's Santa hat, and it really hurts. After about 10 minutes, it's going to sting like Billy-O, so I'm going to have to stop. And I've also got my child's sweater, which also won't fit, so I'm just going to drape it on the shoulder and wait for it to fall off. And also in a cool sweater is well, do you want to introduce yourself, guys, one at a time?
Sure,
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
Justin. Oh, yeah.
You go for it.
Justin,
you go first.
Justin Busa, like they said, founder of Beaver Builder. I was going to do like a nice holiday beer, but my brothers are here all weekend, so I just realized we cleared out all the beer. But I did throw a little bit of the wife had some eggnog laying around, so I heard we were having some drinks, so I figured I'd get in the spirit.
What time is it where you are?
It's 10 a.m.
See, I'm on this local thing called Wold Gold, which is made just down the road, and but it's what is it? It's like 7 o'clock here, so it's perfectly healthy. And Dave, it must be like midnight for you.
It's
or
coming up to
something.
it.
And finally, we got Robby.
Hello.
Hi, Robby.
Hey there. My name is Robby McCullough, and I'm also co-founder of Beaver Builder. I'm still working on coffee, if I'm totally honest. I'm getting over a head cold, so I was tempted to make it an Irish coffee, but I figured for my health's sake, I'll it's a virgin for the morning.
Yeah, 10 o'clock's a little bit early, isn't it? Maybe we should just sort of like get stuck into it. What do you think? Should we go? For that?
But I want to see Robbie's jumper.
Ah, yeah. Got my
yes.
this is a recycled Christmas sweater from a few years back, but my ugly. It's not going to win any ugly sweater contests, I think. Although it is pretty ugly. I saw a lot worse.
Is that a thing in the States? Do you wear like the super my granny gave it to me jumper kind of thing?
I think at one point it was very serious. I mean, I think people wore their holiday sweaters, and then as time went on, you kind of look back at the, like maybe like 70s and 80s, the kind of old family Christmas albums, and you'd see all the gaudy sweaters, and now we make a big joke out of it. But no, I think the origin of it was dead serious at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's become quite a thing here. We seem to get a lot of traditions that you guys had like 5 years ago, and then it becomes a thing over here. So the sweater is in full flight at the minute. Everybody's wearing the sweater.
Oh, it's still in full flight over here. There's the whole cottage industry based around it.
Yeah, that's good. I do like the fact that you're committing to the whole thing by drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning, though. Well done. That's
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Don't give me
now I feel like the odd man out. Maybe I should. Should I go top it off?
Yeah, go grab a drink. Yeah, we thought we'd begin by sort of splitting it up into 3 or 4 sections. Some of it a bit light-hearted and some of it serious, I suppose. But the first thing, I don't know if you get a chance to prepare for any of this. I don't know what David sent to you, but the first thing is, and I might do mine first, is favourite news story in 2016. So the best of any kind, whether it's WordPress or anything. Mine was in April when Elon Musk landed his rocket on the ship. I don't know if you saw that, but he took the thing off and it went up, and then, man, it came down like a bullet. And then just before it hit the boat, which to me was, it looked like it was wobbling a bit, it just suddenly did things, and the rockets moved, and it just moved into position. And I'm really keen on the idea that at some point, maybe within my lifetime, people will go somewhere else and have exciting times out in space. So that was cool. That was my story. David, what about you?
Yeah, mine's going to sound like a real suck-up, but I think the most important thing for me this year, and it was in January, was the shortcodes coming to Beaver Builder, because that just opened up so much. And, things like Beaver Tunnels came later. And most exciting thing, because it made up for a miserable January because David Barry, my hero, died then. So that was my story.
Nice.
Okay, then. What about you then, Justin? Favorite news story this year, if you can think of one off the top of your
I
head.
thought about it, and there were so many depressing news stories. We lost so many people and this and that. David Bowie and Prince and all that. But unrelated to WordPress, I'd have to say the Cubs, American baseball team, winning the World Series, because they hadn't won in like 108 years. Not that I'm a Cubs fan or anything, but just being a sports fan in general, that was kind of cool to see finally have happen. And then good for them. And then we got Jamie on the team now too, as a Cubs fan. So we were excited for her. And then WordPress related, just like the whole new development cycle that they're going to be doing for next year. Well, I mean, it sounds like the foreseeable future. I think that's exciting to shake it up a little bit. The release cycle kind of droned on, and you get these releases every couple of months, but nothing new and exciting. I mean, there's a lot of little exciting things, but so it should be exciting to see what that holds for the future.
The World Series, it's a baseball. Sorry, I'm so ignorant. So it's a baseball thing. What is that? Is it like a knockout tournament where you have 50 teams at the start, and then eventually over days and months and weeks and a year you get a final, and it's two teams? It's
basically the final with the two teams. So you get the playoffs, and there's a couple rounds, and then the World Series is like the two teams. And I mean that format's been changing, for the last 100 some odd years. Originally, like two teams would just play the World Series, and now they have like a whole playoff bracket where there's multiple rounds. But the last time the Cubs are like one of the first teams in baseball, started in the early 1900s, maybe even the late 1800s. And then the last time they won was like 1908. And then the last time they even went was in like 1945 or something along those lines. So everyone was just waiting for them to win again. They had some curse.
Nice. I have some family in the Illinois and Chicago area, and there have been generations and generations of fans that have not seen the Cubs win a World Series. So it was pretty special. If you follow baseball, which we do, we have a fantasy baseball league that we do with the three of us, and then some of the other friends. So it's baseball is a big part of our company culture, I guess you could say.
Oh, okay. So in the US, from again being ignorant, it like baseball's would that be by demographic the biggest thing, or would it be American football as we call it?
They're kind of seasonal. So baseball usually runs in the summer, and football kind of picks up after baseball ends. And so I think football would probably win. I feel like football is more ingrained in the culture. Just everywhere out and about, you see all the the games are always on the TV. But yeah, they're pretty similar. I don't know. What do you think, Justin?
Well, I think the thing with football is that the games are a lot more exciting. I mean, you got dudes running into each other and trying to take each other out. And there's only 16 regular season games a year, whereas baseball there's 162 games a year. So I mean, you can get kind of bored watching baseball until it gets exciting. Sometimes, I mean, obviously you're going to watch your hometown team, but until the playoffs come, sometimes you kind of fall off a little bit. But football, you're just waiting for Sunday to watch Sunday football for those 16 weeks.
It's really interesting because those two sports, they're just not played here. So I would struggle watching. I think baseball, I could figure it out. I mean, basically, I think I could. But American football, I don't have a clue. I just don't understand.
It's complicated. There's plenty of things that I still don't get.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys get it. You hope it's not like a random thing at the end. Who won?
Yeah.
What was that? And what about you, Robbie? What's your favourite news
Yeah,
story
man.
of the entire
You guys
year?
had such good ones. I don't know. I was looking. I didn't realize it was for the whole year, so I was looking at the last week's news. But I actually, similar to the SpaceX rocket landing, we just so we have Uber here, which is the kind of taxi, taxi service. I think it's everywhere now. But Uber started testing self-driving cars here in San Francisco, and they did it. They just announced it in the last couple of weeks, and they did it without getting a permit from the DMV, from the government. Basically, they just said, "Hey, we're going to do this," and within a couple hours of that happening, there was a viral video going around of this Uber car just like blissfully rolling through a red light. Like all the cars went through, and you had a couple guys sneaking through at the end. Then the light turns red, and there's like a 1-2 kind of beat, and then the Uber car just kind of like shots on through, and it was scary, but it was also kind of like, I mean, go figure. They announce it, and within a couple hours, there's like cars rolling through. But as far as like the news in the year, I think the self-driving car technology, it's really cool to see. I mean, here in the Bay Area, we actually see them putting around the Google cars, and now the Uber cars up in San Francisco. And I think it's a really the progress that technology has made in such a short amount of time, and the potential it has for kind of the quality of life in the future is really cool. So I'd say that would be one of my favorites. It was a tough year for news. It was a really tough year, especially here in the States.
Yeah. I think the world stares on incredulous. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
We don't need to start that
I think
discussion.
it's fair to say that the world. No, but it is a discussion. It's going on. Hey, thanks. That was great. I enjoyed listening to those. So I'm going to hand over to David, who's going to grill you properly.
Yeah, well, we're on to our first interview section, aren't we? So we really, this bit, because I think everybody's seen, or at least our audience have probably seen you do all the other interviews where you explain how Beaver Builder started. So I think we all kind of know that early story about how it came out of your agency.
People actually watch those?
Yeah, I watched them all, of course. But we really wanted to just move on to a little bit about you and those early days, the three of you working together, because there's a few bits and pieces that I pick up from other interviews which really fascinated me. I heard about you going out and on your mountain bikes. Is this right, at the end of the day?
Yeah. We used to, on Fridays, we'd if we could, we'd take off a little early and go on some mountain biking rides, and it was nice because there's a lot of great trails here in the area, but you get the weekend warriors. If you go on a Saturday or a Sunday, it's swarming with people. So we had the kind of fortunate chance to leave and go out and do it on Fridays, and we were doing that pretty regularly for maybe the better part of a year. I got really into it and tried to keep up. So Billy was kind of the one who spearheaded that. He's a really talented rider. He grew up riding dirt bikes, and then we had a couple other friends that had been doing it for a few years. And when I jumped into it, I was really gung-ho and trying to keep up with those guys. And then I had like a couple of pretty gnarly falls. One of them, I busted my shoulder up, and then another one, it was one of my first rides back after I hurt my shoulder. I fell, and I didn't hurt anything, and I was so excited. It was like, oh my gosh, I fell off the bike, but I didn't hurt anything. But I didn't know at the time I'd landed in a giant bush of poison oak, and I got poison oak all over my body. So that was bittersweet. But yeah, that was a fun era. Yeah.
Not as much as these guys. I would go here and there. I wish I had done it more. I mean, when I did do it, I enjoyed the challenge of it because it is quite a challenge. I remember the first time I did it, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like trying to go up these hills and you're just chugging along, trying not to die. No, but it's quite a bit. It's a rewarding challenge to say the least. When you're done with it, you just feel so invigorated after a ride. It's a real rewarding challenge. But these guys used to go way more than I did. But I'd still get in there now and then.
Yeah. And music, do you have a shared interest in music? I mean, we can see Robby's guitars at the back. There's two guitars there, yeah? You still play?
Yeah. I do, not as much as I used to. I used to practice regularly and play quite a bit. I go through phases where I'll play a lot of guitar at one point and then kind of put it away. Actually, if you can see, I think, Justin, that's your amp in the background too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, he's got the guitar back there as well.
Oh, nice.
But yeah,
I pick mine up like once a month. When I moved and I actually had a proper like home office, like I was like, I'm gonna like make an effort to try and like jam on my guitar a little bit here and there. So I actually put my guitar stuff. You know, I was like, I saw Robby had it by his desk. I'm like, that might be a good way to like kind of, oh yeah, maybe you can strum the guitar here and there. But I've completely fallen off over the years. I wouldn't consider myself a guitar player right now, but it is fun to pick up and strum and play some scales and just fart around a little bit now and then.
Did you play in live bands?
I did, like probably, well, I guess 10 years ago is when I kind of stopped. So before then, I played for like 5 or 6 years, all from being a teenager into my early 20s. And like, you know, with the whole Beaver Builder origin story, I don't know if you've heard the part of like, that's how Billy and I met, is that he was managing like a local venue and my band would play there. And then we just would hang out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun back then. And that's what I mean, like falling off, like that was like, I kind of like lose interest in my hobbies sometimes. And like, I'll move on to something else or whatever. I really did enjoy playing music a lot, but at some point, you know, especially when I started focusing more on being a professional and I wasn't, you know, running around playing in a band all the time, it just, the interest kind of slowly waned on that end. But yeah, it was definitely fun times.
Cool. So Robby came in playing guitar because you didn't know that about him when he joined, you know?
No, not at all. We just knew he knew how to code.
Actually, I think I put it on. I put it on my. You probably didn't. You didn't read it, I think, because I remember way back when. Yeah, you were on vacation, and I did my first interview with Billy. But yeah, I didn't have a whole lot. I didn't have any professional experience in tech or web, so my resume was very creative, and it was, you know, like I have all these skills from some of these other hobbies, and you know, this is why you should hire me. My time as a musician has taught me this and discipline and that. And
well, actually, looking at your Guitar Tab website, I must have.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. Robby had a pretty cool Guitar Tab website that he would scrape tablature from other websites and make it look pretty, and then he got a takedown notice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of my first web projects, and it was right around the time when web fonts were becoming practical and in style. And Nathan, you mentioned you were in a band. Maybe you're familiar, but you know, guitar tablature, when you look it up online, it's gotten a lot better now. But it used to be just the monospaced font, and it would be five, lines of dashes to represent the 5 strings with the numbers, you know, scattered through. And I made a web font that kind of connected the dashes, and it looked a lot nicer if you looked at the kind of original tablature versus mine. It was actually a much better experience. And then I built, a little script to go and scrape all of the big guitar tab sites. And I think I had maybe like 300,000 or 400,000 songs. And the site got really good traffic. It was back in the like kind of long tail SEO days when, there was only 3 or 4, well, maybe like 10, 15 sites that were doing it. But the site picked up a lot of steam, and it was really fun. And then I got this really threatening, nasty letter. It was like I had to go sign for it at the post office from the DMCA, Digital Music Copyright Association, or something like that. And they were basically like you need to stop this immediately. Like, don't even pretend like this is legal. Like we dare you. Like, go ahead. Like, try us. You need to shut this down to me. And I was so scared at the time. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get sued. I was just a kid. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, what can possibly go wrong when you scrape the internet for content?
Yeah.
That's great. We were talking, David and I, we just wondered, I wonder how many people in this space, WordPress in particular, were in a band, and particularly playing the guitar. Like, raise your hand.
Yeah. There we go.
This is all of us.
I know Troy Dean likes to jam. I don't know if he's in a band or not, but it sounds like he's a pretty serious musician.
Yeah.
I think it's similar. I mean, it's interesting because you see a lot of people in the WordPress space that come from churches or, have some kind of religion background and the musical background too. And I think part of that might be, we all I didn't play in a band, but I can relate to this, where you had to if you're in a band, you need a website, right? You got to get people to your shows. So there was that kind of crossover, and same if you're, in the church scene, a lot of people were building websites for their churches and kind of stumbled into, there's a couple hobbies that lend themselves to needing to create, websites and marketing and trying to gather the masses together. And yeah, WordPress brings a lot of those people together.
Well, that's a good point, actually, because I made, that's how I started building websites, was for my band and then other bands, and then also like learning how to use Photoshop, making flyers for shows, and trying to do our album art and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't know anything back then. GeoCities all the way.
Yeah. Angel Fire.
Yeah.
Angel Fire, yeah.
Oh, there's another podcast in there, right? Just right there.
That's another cultural
With
difference
nostalgia.
as well, isn't it, with the churches and websites? We don't get that in the UK.
No. Churches in the UK are pretty traditional, shall we
Oh.
say. I see images of churches in the US. Quite a few of the people that I follow on Facebook, they obviously go to church, and kind of looks like a concert with a big backdrop and, it's huge letters, and, it just looks like a gig. And I think, wow, that's interesting, Whereas here it's a bloke with some incense.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's funny.
like that.
I remember
Yeah.
one of our kind of friends in the WordPress. I don't want to call him out by name, but he was very involved with that kind of the church scene, if you will. And we met him in person at an event, and I think we were expecting him to be kind of quiet and unassuming, and he ended up being this really kind of wild party boy. Like, he was out and taking shots with us and staying out all night. And we're like, wait a minute, We're Justin and I in California. The United States is really, as you move around, things are very different, and I think most of the middle America would call us heathens out here in California. It's not as ingrained in the California culture as it is as you kind of move over into the middle of the country. So we're not as familiar, but yeah, it's interesting, to say the least.
Hey, Robby, can I ask you about, you asked me what the differences were between you and Justin, and the two things where you disagree was baseball, and the other one was code editors. So which code editor do you use, Robby, first?
Oh, man, I feel like I shouldn't even answer this one anymore, because I sadly don't write nearly as much code as I used to, but I was a Sublime Text guy. I really liked Sublime Text. Mainly because, and I know this might come up later too, but I used to be a PC guy, and Sublime Text was cross-platform, so that was a really big kind of selling point to me, especially when I first started working at Fastline. We were a Mac shop, so I was kind of transitioning and using both Mac and PC. But yeah, I like Sublime. Sublime for the win.
Yeah.
And I use
I'll go with
Panic's Coda. I started using Panic because I was using their Transmit FTP application, and then I needed a better code editor, and gave Coda a shot. I like Coda because of their tight FTP integration, how you can bounce around. I know Sublime has some stuff now. They may even have much better stuff now. But Panic's is really well done, or Coda's, where you can bounce around, not only local but remote as well, and just jump in and out of files and this and that. I'll say though, in all fairness, Sublime is probably a more superior editor when it comes to code, but I'm just one of those, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I've just been using it, and I don't like changing. I don't like having to update my software and have it change on me.
Sure.
Surprisingly, I was just reading Tom McFarlane's blog, and he put a big thumbs up for Microsoft's new code editor, which kind of blew my mind. Because it's Microsoft. I don't think it was Brackets. I think it's something Microsoft Studio something. But basically, Microsoft came out with an open source cross-platform extendable code editor that is, and I guess it's more along the lines of an IDE too. It's got a lot of the kind of machine learning, and as far as syntax highlighting and suggestions and that kind of stuff. It sounds like it's really advanced. And I'd be curious to give that one a try. I can't believe I'm even saying it. If you told me I was going to say this 3 years ago, that I was interested in a Microsoft editor. Yeah, it could have pushed me over with a feather.
You know
but
what?
I hear it's pretty good.
I think Microsoft are. I think we're on the turn. I think they're about to do a load of really cool stuff. I think their Linux, their interest in Linux and now open source, and I don't know. I could be wrong, but it feels like they're pushing
It does
all the right
look like it's
buttons,
going that
for me,
way.
at least,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
Yeah.
well, yeah.
And
Sadly, too. Well, yeah, Apple's kind of turned in. With their new MacBook Pro. I know a lot of the hardcore developers and the whole kind of dongle gate, right? Like, their decision to only have the was it USB-C connectors and all that. It's yeah. I've been looking. Well, particularly, did you guys see the Microsoft Studio, the desktop, the kind of iMac equivalent with the pen? And it's oh man, that thing looks really really hot. I really want to. I almost I had like the gimmies. I saw it. It's like, oh, I got to have one of these. This thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
And I always
I'm so invested in Mac software. That's my sticking point. I've just spent so much on software which is non-compatible. But then if my Mac died the other day and I had a real moment of, do I just bite the bullet? I rebuilt the Mac. I've got the Mac going again, but it's so tempting to just jump ship. There's always a shiny thing, and Microsoft at the minute gives me shiny things.
Yeah. Shiny
the
ball
joke
cylinder.
I kept hearing on Facebook when that new studio came out was like, "Man, that looks amazing! Can I run OS X on it?"
Yeah.
So I think Windows is as much as all this other cool stuff that Microsoft's doing. I mean, I don't whenever I jump into Windows, I still go like bang my head on the desk and it's just like, why is this happening and that. A lot of it's like vendor specific stuff though, like Lenovo stuffs all their junk on there, and if you buy a crappy laptop or something like that. But OS X is probably still a cleaner operating system in my opinion, but who knows? Maybe that'll change too.
See, I think that I agree totally, and then I update my computer, right? I run my updates on OS X, and everything breaks. Like I have to configure my developer tools and the command line, and all. And I know Justin. I know that those updates are getting a little bit.
What updates? I don't run updates on my operating system. I don't want things to break.
Yeah.
Now this is time, isn't it? Definitely for a game, yeah.
Yeah,
let's do a game. First one, odd one out round. So I have to make sure for the people who are just going to listen to this, I read it out clearly. So which one's the odd one out? These are all connected in some way. The odd one out between Mad Mimi, Managed WP, Beaver Builder, and WP Curve.
Beaver Builder?
That's a good question.
Interesting. Justin comes in. Why is that?
Because we weren't acquired by GoDaddy. Is that right?
No, that's a good one. I think you're right. I was going to say Curve because it's a service. Like I mean, it's because it's not a software. It's more of a service. But no, I think a good call. You're right. Justin got that one. I guess I should wait for the answer. Right?
Involvement with GoDaddy, but Beaver Builder's the only one that hasn't been bought out. And the next one, again, it's the odd one out, and they are they're not connected so much, but is WordPress, number one. Number two is MariaDB database. Number three, again, is Beaver Builder. And number four, WooCommerce. This one's not easy.
Whilst you think about it, I'm going to play the Swanee whistle.
Well, if I say cutlery, will that happen?
It's inspiring.
Yeah, it's really helping me think.
Yeah, I got this one in the bag. No, I'm just kidding. What were you saying, Dave? If you said what?
I said cutlery. My fan.
Ooh.
It was WordPress, MariaDB, Beaver Builder, and then what was the last one?
The last one was WooCommerce.
WooCommerce.
Because that Beaver Builder's not a fork.
Yay!
You said it with the cutlery.
Man,
You're good, man. You're good at those.
He's really clever.
I was like, knife, and what goes with a knife? A fork. I was like, oh, I mean, I don't know that MariaDB was forked, but I just kept WooCommerce and WordPress, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm assuming that it probably was.
Well,
sorry, Rob. I'll keep my mouth shut on the next one.
No, man, this is good. This is why we're a good team, because I'm horrible at those like off the top of your head kind of things.
Usually,
Anyway,
I think it was the Swanee whistle.
it was the whistle.
that's the end of our first game anyway, so I have to hand over to Nathan, who's going to go on to a bit of a topic. Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, a bit more serious just for a minute. You know, it's Christmas time. It's about thinking about other people, and I guess we were talking about how big your company now is, Beaver Builder. Let's call it that. How many employees have you got now?
About 10 right now.
Does that include you? Or...
Yeah, I think so.
So that's 10. So we were just sort of hoping that you would list them, maybe, and just big them up. You know, just give us some nice info about your employees and make them feel good, and you know, basically give you an opportunity to say thanks and you know, this is what you've done for us this year, including anybody that's new as well, I suppose.
Okay, yeah. How do you want to? Do you want to split it up, Rob, or just one of us jump in on it?
Yeah. Let's. Well, maybe we should just like start. I bet we can all kind of say nice things about everything. But we'll maybe starting in chronological order. Like our first employee was Ben. Ben he was our first and only employee for a long time. He works in our support team, and he's just a rock star. We got so lucky. We found Ben on I think it's Upwork now. Was it called freelance.com or something like Elance originally? I don't know if
I know
it switched over, but I know I didn't have as much experience with it, but when Justin and Billy were doing looking for like to hire people, like maybe even before I came on, and you hear all these horror stories about trying to hire on Elance. You know, when you're working with freelancers abroad, it's really hard to find good people, and I think we got super lucky with Ben because he's just been fantastic, and he was one of the first people we found and interviewed and hired for the position. And of course, to this day, he's still on the team. I don't think we've ever had any kind of like issues or problems, and he's just a really diligent, smart, hardworking guy. And then maybe a good segue to that is it might not have. I don't know if he came in directly after, but we actually hired Ben's brother, Jun, on Ben's advice, and that was we got really fortunate because those guys are, always hanging out with each other, and Ben worked really closely with Jun when he was coming on to train him, and I'm sure it's one of those situations, like I'm sure those guys were talking shop when they weren't working on the clock or hanging out at each other's house, and so it's Jun, and it also has been phenomenal, and it was really cool to have that family connection too. Let's see, I don't know, how should we keep breaking this up?
No, I mean, keep going. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I'll jump in at maybe the developers. You can just keep going with support.
Okay, let's see here. So we went Ben to Jun, and that's still the thing. We always have a little bit of a hard time answering the question too, because there's been people that have come on just for a certain job, or like we were working with Colin, right, the dynamic beaver, back in the beginning. He was doing some contract work with us, and then there was a guy named Diego who also was working really closely with us. Back maybe even a couple years, I could say now, but they both have kind of moved on to bigger, better things. And then let's see here. I think Danny might have been the next hire.
Yeah, I think so.
Danny was awesome. Danny was coming from another WordPress company, and he didn't treat him very well. We have a couple stories of folks that came from other companies in the WordPress space that didn't really have the nicest things to say about their ex-employers. But yeah, I shouldn't tell this. I'll embarrass him when I tell this story. But I vividly remember the story that Danny was telling us during his interview about like a situation or something he had going on with his ex. He just basically had us all rolling in laughter, like from the first day. Same deal. We've been really fortunate to find people. We've only had maybe like one or two people that didn't work out. But everyone, I feel like we've gotten really, really lucky with the just kind of level of talent and just the people that we enjoy spending time, even though it's virtual, people that we get along with and can chat with, and everyone's a rock star. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words because we really lucked out with a lot of the people we brought on.
I think that's what we're just trying to get, really, is just a nice pat on the back and a getting your name mentioned and somebody saying nice things about you, that's great. I think having a laugh and being able to giggle, it's everything. Without that, you've got nothing. And I think that's so important. It's really nice to hear that you muck about and do all that stuff. Okay, so we're going to go to the developers now, are we?
Well, there are a couple others I can just touch on. Jamie's the newest support. She just came on not too long ago. And Catherine as well. She's on support. And then we have Nancy on docs, who she doesn't work for us full-time, but she does a fantastic job doing our helping with our documentation. I mean, it's been a revelation having her around. None of us are very good at docs or even want to do it for that matter. So that's been nice. And in terms of developers right now, full-time, Eugene's only full-time developer. He came on as just kind of like needed developer help and wasn't really sure what that role looked like, but it kind of transformed into, oh, wow, Justin, you're fixing a lot of bugs. How about I take the bugs and you go work on the other stuff? And so he's kind of, he does do small feature enhancements, but he actually manages all of our tickets that come into our Git repo. He'll assign stuff to me if like it's something that's maybe a little bit much for him. But he does all that, and then we'll work together to get the minor releases out and get all that stuff reviewed and merged and tested. And then currently on the team too, who you're probably familiar with, is Brent, who's been working on the new UI. And he was just like Robby had said, a lot of people that have come from our community. He was just had some ideas, and we were talking. It actually started around like the theme building stuff, where I was talking to him about that, and then he had some pretty they're big ideas, and I was like, man, can you like do some mock-ups for this kind of stuff so we could see what that looked like? And then I was like, oh well, can you build some of it? And so he originally started with that. And then we started talking about the UI, because we've just gotten a lot of feedback on the UI over the last couple of years. And then also just with like the third-party ecosystem and how the current UI doesn't really like contain that very well. And it needs, some reimagination there. And so he started mocking that up. And we've gone through a few iterations. We went like all the way in left field, and then we pulled it back, and like now we're kind of in the middle, but we've touched on everything. So I'm really excited, like the direction we're finally going now, to where we're working towards like a finish line of like this kind of well-rounded thing that we've really thought out. So Brent actually, he has a day job. They were one of our customers, Neb Media. And he's just super talented in terms of the fact that he's really creative artistically, and also he can write some pretty serious code. He'll tell you he's not a coder, but he's definitely a coder. And then in terms of just like some honorable mentions, sorry, I'm like looking off screen here on our Slack group. But Thomas. Thomas isn't as active right now, but he did all the new templates that you saw in 1.8, all the landing page templates. And then Ozon, he did the new content page templates in 1.9, and then he did a bunch of the stuff, the theme stuff in 1.5. And then let's see, I don't want to forget anybody. I know I probably will. Well, see, that's the thing too, is like as part of the team, like Robby said, it's hard to define, because we have people that we've brought on, like Ozon and Diego and Thomas, that like are mainly just on a contract basis to work on projects for us that have come from our community. But we also have, if you look at our WordPress.org repo and look at the contributors, we have a ton of people that have just asked to get access to our repo, and they submit pull requests for different things. Like Oliver and I'm going to butcher his last name. He's from Webman Design, and then Jesse Profit. They worked together on the first version of the responsive settings that they submitted as a pull request, and then I kind of came in there and did some work on it too. So we get a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, it's really been a community effort. It's pretty. So yeah, we're really thankful for everybody.
I got a couple just thoughts to tack on if I can, real quick, but. So Thomas is a designer, and we do every Thursday, we have like an informal, unofficial meeting where we all just kind of get in our Slack general channel and say hello and how's it going. And Thomas started this, what has it become a tradition, where he hacked up this photo of Billy from Billy's Facebook page and put it in there. Like, he just made these super funny, I guess I don't know if you call them memes. We call them memes, but he would do some like Photoshop like wizardry and put Billy's like picture on all these like just really like some of them were super inappropriate too. Like, we could never ever share them, but oh man, it was just like the whole. People started coming to them, like showing up for these because it's totally optional, and if you want to come in and say hi, because people are scattered throughout different time zones, it's a lot harder for some folks to get in and others too. But yeah, I think people were coming just so they could see the funny memes. Catherine, who's our newest employee, she's been really awesome about. She came on originally as a support role, but she's got a really good background in marketing. Our extensive background, I should say, and she's been jumping into a bunch of different tasks and areas and helping out way beyond what we originally brought her on for. And same with Jamie, I think, who has also been helping out a lot. She came on as a support role, but she's been doing a lot of work on the doc side and also on the product and testing side.
Yeah.
She's been putting a lot of effort into working with all the new, like as soon as we have a new branch out of an update or some of the things we're working on behind the scenes, she gets right in there and has some really good feedback on that. One, I don't want to bum the mood out too, but one of our original guys that we brought on as on a contract basis, but he might have even been the first person other than the three of us to help us out, was a guy named Jason. Who helped us a lot with kind of our marketing direction. And I'm going to do a little piece about this on our blog post coming up here, but he sadly had an accident, a snowboarding accident pretty recently. And I'd feel bad not mentioning his name because he was pretty pivotal. We had some disagreements with him. So it was like a really interesting relationship. But yeah, he passed on but he was there in the beginning. So, another honorable mention for someone that was there a long time ago. Sorry, but
guys, thanks.
No, yeah, sorry, I keep mentioning it whenever I can because it's been it's been.
No, yeah, he's definitely a good one to mention because he was. I was looking. He was like a customer in we launched in April, and he was like a customer in beginning of June 2014, and so he was he was like one of our first, and he was like one of our first evangelists, and then he's like, hey, you guys, I know all this marketing stuff, and you guys don't really know what you're doing, and he gave us some real great advice, and it helped out quite a bit. So yeah, that was definitely a bummer to find out about that one for sure. A good mention, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's a sad story, but nice that you have a chance to name him at this time of the year. That's nice. Hey, thanks, guys. So, right, here we go. Stupid questions. Just
let's lighten it up a little.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, who's going to get this first? You're pitted against each other. What is the capital city of Bangladesh?
I'm not
I see. No, I don't know. I didn't know either. You can Google it. Go on, have a guess.
I'm gonna butcher it. Bangladesh. What is it, Rob? You look like you got
Dhaka.
Dhaka. Yeah. Did you get that? Was that you? Or
it just took me a while to remember. Yeah, it just took me a while.
Yeah, that's right.
I wouldn't even have come close.
Okay. Okay. James Tiberius Kirk or Jean-Luc Picard?
I saw this one, and I'm gonna lose some nerd points right now because I know that I believe this is Star Trek, but I'm not.
This is Star Trek.
Okay, I got that right at least, right? Okay, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Wait, is this a question?
That's as far as I know, though.
You can say null.
Jean-Luc is he was the guy that had the famously bald head, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and Kirk was William Shatner, right? I'm gonna go with Kirk. I mean, William Shatner. I mean, come on.
God, it's always Kirk. There isn't a choice. It's just.
Oh, it is always Kirk. Oh, okay.
What I was after. Yeah, it's
okay.
Kirk. It's always Kirk.
I didn't know.
Okay.
We both just lost nerd credit.
Yeah.
12 times 35.
Oh, Jesus.
1 second here.
Yeah,
I have been drinking eggnog.
That would be 420.
Nice. That was quick.
Does that have anything to do with California? No, just kidding.
Yeah, why'd you guys choose that one?
I don't know. Just random. Would you prefer to ski or sit on a beach?
A beach.
That's a tough. Yeah, I know. I think I would prefer to ski because I sit on the beach more often than not. I don't go skiing a lot, so I normally choose. I mean, in real life, I'd go to the beach. It's a lot easier. But yeah, I'd like to go skiing.
Yep.
I just hate being cold and wet, so beach all day.
Yeah.
But this is California. That's what happens at the beach. You just get cold and wet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I mean, it's not like our beaches are that nice.
No. I mean, you should come to my beach where it's currently -2.
No.
It's real fun. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Got a couple more here. Okay. If you had the power to do one thing, and I'm not after some pretentious thing, it can just be what you actually would like to do for yourself, selfishly. What would you do? One thing.
Power to do one thing. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I guess I'm being put on the spot.
Just to give you some context, I'd probably have more time off. That would be my thing. It's not. I'm not trying to make world peace or anything. Just.
Yeah, there's a lot of like cliche. I want to save the world, right? But and of course, all the good stuff. I got one though. One of my New Year's resolutions, I think, is and Justin kind of inspired me on this one, to be honest. But I want to do more public speaking. Justin spoke at WordCamp Sacramento and did a really awesome job, and I think I want to get better at speaking. I've been really enjoying doing conferences and going out and networking, and I did a lot of that this year. And I think if I can get better at speaking, I might not have to pay for as many conference tickets. But I get a lot of anxiety over doing public speaking, and I used to get a lot of anxiety about flying, and then this year I just kind of beat it out of me, like by going on a bunch of airplanes. And I think I need to do that. That's my plan for this upcoming year, is to just try and do as much public speaking as I can in hopes that I can get over that kind of speed bump.
I think that's really cool. Great.
I'd go if it's just one thing, and I'm not trying to have world peace and any of that. I'd go into outer space. I'd go on a spaceship.
Yeah,
something like that. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see the curvature of the Earth. Just that whole, where are we all? What are we all sitting on? Yeah, that would be awesome.
Fun.
I would do that too.
That goes so much.
I'd spend more time with my kids from space.
That's like the opposite of my fear of flying. Like I would never want to. Like you guys have fun with that. I'm gonna sit here on solid ground.
I get a little bit of butterflies, so I'll take off.
Yeah. Okay, we'll make this the last one, maybe. Do you know who the Prime Minister of Great Britain is?
Of course I know who the Prime Minister of Great Britain
Didn't that just change hands with the whole Brexit thing?
Yeah, it did.
It would be Theresa May.
That's
come on, guys! I'm surprised you even think we wouldn't know this. I'm not Googling on my side monitor. I swear.
Honestly, that's probably the only one that I could have answered. I got a whole list here, but I think we should stop. So we'll pass it over to David. I think he's going to play a different sort of game with you. Are you going to do the missing words?
Yeah, missing words. I've got some quotes. I think you probably can see them yourself there. So I'm wondering if you can actually fill in the blanks and even find out who the author of the quote was. So the first one is, for me, open source is a blank blank.
Are these quotes in the...
Yeah. These are kind of well-known quotes by fairly famous IT kind of people.
Open source. Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah, for me, open source is a blank blank. Shall I give you a clue?
Please.
Who the person is? It's Matt Mullenweg.
Who? That one. Yeah, that one's. I'll honest. I thought I was reading an article, and I was thinking it was someone else. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to be able to without cheating.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
do that one.
I'll give you that one. So it's moral thing. He said.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I remember. No idea.
Okay. Next one you might know, because you would have definitely taken interest in this one. I'm sorry if this one hurts anyone's feelings, but seriously, blank, 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 blank are terrible.
WordPress page builders, and that must be from Mr.
Nice.
Pippin Williamson.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Nice. Good one, Rob.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
No,
and
no.
he put you on-
Yeah,
put
so
you on
Pippin
top.
was really like classy about that because he put that tweet out and we were chuckling about it. But then the next day we saw an order come through with his name on it. We're like, oh wow, Pippin just bought Beaver Builder, and he really did. He wrote up that article that was so thorough, and I can only imagine that he actually went out and bought all of the page builders in an effort to test them all. So that was really cool. I thought that, of course, us being on his good list didn't hurt things. But no, I thought it was really nice of him to actually go and like buy all of the products and then take the time to write up the review. That was really impressive of him. So yeah, kudos to Pippin for that.
Okay, next one then is this is not WordPress. Blue is the richest color for me. Shall I give you the author? You won't get the rest of the quote, I don't think. But it's Mark Zuckerberg.
Ah.
But if you know what the story is about, you get points.
Gosh, I know from all the kind of color theory reading I was doing on the whole, like landing page marketing, that kind of stuff. I know blue is a very trusting color. Like when people see blue, they feel at ease, as opposed to like a red or an orange, which is like more of like a warning color. But no, I mean it's got to be about the origins of Facebook, right? I know they started out with blue. I know I watched a really funny presentation from a woman that came in and refactored their CSS, and this was way back when, but I remember her saying that, the Facebook blue, like hex code, they had like 100 different variations of it because people would use the eyedropper tool and like eyedrop, something to get the color out of it. Yep. And when they were refactoring all that code, they found, like 100 different shades of the blue that was supposed to just be the one blue. I think we have. Well, I know. I also use the eyedropper tool for better or worse.
Yeah. Well, the story is that he apparently was on Russian TV, and they asked him why he chose blue, and he said that he can see all of blue, and he turns out he's red and green colorblind, so he picked blue because he can see all the colors.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I did not know that one. Nice.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's interesting.
Next one then.
Yeah, that'd be a real bummer if you couldn't see part of your multi-billion-dollar website. Just
have you seen those? There's like it's like a sweater that I wish. What are the names? It has. When you do the test, the colorblind test, it's like a circle with dots, and the dots in the middle. Yeah, that sounds right. And the dots in the middle will be a slightly different, hue. And if you aren't colorblind, you'll be able to see it. And at some shirt, it's like, like the colorblind are it basically like, oh man, I wish what does it say? It's one of those like quick one-liners, but it's like, I love the colorblind or something like that. But then the actual part that's colorblind is like F you colorblind, like it negates this. Oh, that's what it was. So the guy there was a roommate that was color. He got the shirt for his roommate who was colorblind and was walking around being like, colorblind people suck, and he had no idea the whole time because he was. We shouldn't make fun of the colorblind. My dad is colorblind. It's now I feel like a jerk making fun of people for yeah.
We'll edit that bit out. Maybe. There was some glasses on the. I keep getting it in Facebook, in my Facebook feed. These glasses that you can put on now, and it fixes the red-green thing. And there's these pictures of these elderly people just putting them on and literally unable to cope with what they're seeing. It's just so.
Oh wow!
They're like, look, what is this I'm wearing? It's purple. That's purple. It's so purple. It's great.
That's cool.
Okay, last one. Yes?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, last one is, I'll give you the person. No, actually, I'll give you it and see if you get the person. It's a really famous quote in WordPress, and it's, if you're serious about blank blank, I would be interested in contributing, and I'm sure there are one or two others in the community who would be too. That ring any bells?
You're serious about open source?
Close. I'm going to give you a name. Mark Little.
Oh, if That rings. I guess
I
that
know
goes
the
back to
name.
the cafe log days. Then I guess, or B2 or whatever. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Forking B2 was the blanks.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
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 Yeah,
Well
you
spotted.
should get partial credit for that one at the
Close.
least. I
Close.
was thinking accessibility, but that was wrong.
These are silly questions. Shall we move on for another bit of interview section where we want to talk about the community, which we love so much?
Definitely.
Yes. So really, actually, something I wanted to ask you about, I mean, we're recording this, so maybe something will happen after this recording, but there was talk about the new forum coming back, and just wondered what you had to say on that and what you're thinking about and how it'll fit in with our beloved Facebook.
Yeah. So the quick backstory is we used to have all of our support running through a BB Press forum, and it was getting really cumbersome to manage it, especially as we started growing our support team and trying to identify ways that we could streamline our support process. So we closed down the forum and moved over to Help Scout, which is a dedicated ticketing system, and it's just much more. It's built for teams. It's a much more kind of precise tool for the job that we were doing. The downside to that was that there was a really great community in the forums that were participating, both in asking questions and answering questions, and the forums were all indexed by Google. So a lot of the kind of, because our support and what we see in the Facebook group, there's a lot of folks that are learning web design through Beaver Builder, and they're asking questions that wouldn't really fall under a support. Like, it's not a bug or a conflict. They're saying like, hey, like this website has this really cool video background. How do I host the video? Or like, how do I recreate this design? Or it's a lot more kind of general questions that could fall into the category of web design and development as opposed to just being Beaver Builder. And Facebook has been phenomenal. The Facebook community is so active and it's great, but it's lacking a couple of we're all a part of it. We all know, right? We see the same questions coming up, or variations of the same question pretty often, because the forum, or excuse me, the Facebook group isn't indexed by Google. It's not really that searchable. It has a search, but it's shoddy. So the hope is, and ever since we shut down the forum, I've been trying to find the thing. I just didn't want to open another BB Press forum, because managing forums and hosting forums, and they're a lot of work. But we really did lose some cool functionality, and I think that there is a potential. There's like a complementary kind of system out there that I've been looking for that would play really nicely with the Facebook group, that would bring some of those benefits of the forum back. And most recently, I discovered Stack Exchange. So Stack Overflow, right, is a great site for question and answer. And there's a kind of spin-off of that. I'm not sure if they're the same company or not, but it's called Stack Exchange, and it's a question and answer forum system, and it's not self-hosted. Like, it's hosted on their platform, and I think I'm at like 97% now. I swung out the idea to the Facebook group to see if people were interested, but I think we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to try setting up a question and answer forum on Stack Exchange. And one of the niceties about that is it's just as easy as kind of like spinning up a WordPress site on WordPress.com. Like, we go in there and give it a title, set the topics. I'm sure there's some initial configuration, but we don't have to worry about hosting it on our server or keeping it updated or designing it or any of the kind of time-intensive things that go along with building a new website. And then the other nice thing about it is that when you set up a Stack Exchange, it goes into this kind of beta period, and there has to be a certain amount of activity for the Stack Exchange kind of group to actually make it its own Stack Exchange. So it's kind of like a trial. And so we've seen this on Facebook a couple times, or it's kind of it happens a lot where we'll put something out, we'll ask on Facebook, like, hey, would you guys like it if we did this? And everyone will say, yes, that sounds great. And then we do it, and people are really enthusiastic on Facebook, which is awesome, right? But sometimes it can be, it's like Facebook events, like you set up an event and everyone's like, yeah, I'm coming. And then you get there and there's like 3 or 4 people that actually show up. Like people are a lot more enthusiastic with their clicks than they are with their time. So it'll give us a chance to try out a new forum that I think the medium of like the Stack Exchange kind of question and answer format will work really well for that part we're lacking. And if it doesn't take off, we won't have invested a lot of time in it, and it will just be able to kind of slowly fade out. So it hits on a couple of the pain points that we had in trying to get a forum back.
Yeah, it's such a good system. You get the answers, the good answers float to the top, and the people who provide the good answers get the credibility to make things go to the top, and it's brilliant. I think it's great. I think it's a perfect decision.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're going to be counting on you guys, like collectively, the community, to help us make it happen, and particularly, I think at first, we're going to want to redirect a lot of the questions that come into Facebook to the forums. Especially anything that has to do with code. Like there's no code formatting on Facebook, and people are sharing, PHP and CSS snippets all the time. And it's just nasty. But on the Stack Exchange, I'm almost positive there is. And so anything that, the goal is definitely not. And I know this was one of the worries, was to it might dilute the Facebook group in Facebook, and it might kind of slow down the activity there. And I really don't want that to be the case, and I think we've reached a point where there's enough. The Facebook group has been active and brilliant since we had 500 people in there. Now we're up to over 4,000. So I think we have enough scale that, and watching the questions that come through, a lot of them I think still lend themselves really well to that Facebook group chat kind of hive mind format, and then a lot of them will also lend themselves well to the Stack Exchange question and answer format. So. Yeah. Sorry, I just went on like a really long rant. I've been thinking about this a lot, but I'm really hoping that it fills the void that we created when we got rid of the support forums, and will be a useful tool for everyone.
Yeah, there's a gap, which really leads me on to the next question I wanted to ask. Do you think it's still true? I think maybe Justin mentioned this, that you thought there were 90+% were developers who were Beaver Builder users. I guess that's changed since that was mentioned.
I don't think we've ever had like exact metrics. I think just like kind of like our own, like this is what we see is that, and I wouldn't even call them developers. I would just call them that people are build websites for other people versus the DIYers. I mean, in saying people that build websites for other people, that's still broad. You could break that down into like developers, designers, web pros, that just know how to do, implementers and that kind of thing. But we do have, I still think Beaver Builder is predominantly people that are building websites for others, either freelancers or agencies or what have you not, versus like, I'm just trying to build my own website. But I mean, like I said, I don't have any hard numbers. I don't even know if Robby does.
Yeah, we did a poll. This was a while back though, so that data is not really valid anymore. But we polled everyone. I think that we did it on a blog post, and I think at the time we thought that it was a little bit more of a 50-50 split between someone that's just building a single website for themselves, like the do-it-yourselfer, we would put the label on them, and then folks that are building lots of websites, be it for themselves or other people. And it was predominantly people that were either agencies or freelancers, or they had 20 websites that they built, and they weren't just like Joe's hardware store and Joe needs a website and his friend told him to look at WordPress, and that's how he got to us. One wrench that's been thrown into that mix though just recently is the partnership that we have going with GoDaddy, and they have been there's been a surge of new GoDaddy users on the light version, the free version of Beaver Builder. One of the pieces of news I was thinking about for my favorite piece of news was one that we just announced, although it was kind of self-serving. But we just hit 200,000 active websites on the free version of Beaver Builder, and the jump from 100,000, to get to 100,000 took almost 2 years, if not more than 2 years, and then to go from 100 to 200, it's been like a couple months. Like, it's just wild how quickly that growth has accelerated. And I do think that a lot of those GoDaddy customers are not they are kind of more like the Joe from Joe Hardware Store building a website. So that's been, that's something that I think going into 2017, that's something we're kind of keeping an eye on, and there's a little bit of, but it would be hard not to say that there's a bit of a shift going thanks to the GoDaddy partnership.
Awesome.
It's been really hard to tell on the Facebook group who's coming in on the light version recently. That we've had a few assumptions for a long time that everybody was on a paid version, and that was the assumption. Now we have to check ourselves a bit.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing with the GoDaddy setup too, is that Beaver Builder is included in their onboarder. So when you sign up for a website with GoDaddy, WordPress website, they have the option to just jump right into the Beaver Builder. It's pre-installed, and what we don't get, a lot of people probably don't even know that they're using Beaver Builder at that point. And maybe they, the type that would go through and kind of dig through our setting. Like, it's pretty easy to find out that it's Beaver Builder if you do a little bit of digging. But, we're trying. That might be like a push that we want to make this year, is trying to make it more obvious who we are and that this community exists, and trying to bring more of those people into our fold. Because as anyone that goes out and buys our premium versions, or even finds us in the WordPress repo, is probably familiar with our name, or that they read about us on a list of top page builders or something like that, and the community comes up a lot in our marketing and in our onboarding. When you get when you sign up for Beaver Builder, you get some emails that say, hey, come join us on Facebook, or if you're reading our blog posts, they're a lot more in tune with the community and with us. So it should be interesting. Should be interesting to navigate that this upcoming year.
Cool. Nathan, did you want to add anything?
No, I think that last thing about the whole GoDaddy thing, I'm certain that a lot of people don't know that it's Beaver Builder. I've answered various queries in all sorts of places, and somebody's shown a screenshot. It's like, oh, that's Beaver Builder, and they don't know. And if there's 100,000+ of them, that's a wonderful thing for your coming year.
We have our fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, that's great, really good.
Yeah. No, I think it's that the whole process of we were worried on the other side of it too. We were worried that when this kicked off, that we were going to see a surge of support requests, and that it was going to be I don't want to say a burden, but that it was going to really tax our system and our staff, and that it was going to be something that we were going to need to devote a lot of time to kind of managing and growing, and that hasn't really happened either. We've definitely seen an uptick, but we went from 100 to 200,000. Those weren't all GoDaddy, but it's roughly that many people are using the GoDaddy onboarder and page builder. And if we'd if even a fraction of those had put in a support ticket, like, we would be underwater with support, right? We would all be like, we wouldn't be doing this interview because we'd all be on there answering support, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice that it's been a kind of an easing transition into it, and then as we kind of figure out more of what that looks like in the future, hopefully we can start bringing more people into the fold. Because the one thing we've noticed is, as we've grown and as the community has grown, it hasn't, it's gotten better. It's more is better, more the merrier, I think. And we're really excited.
We both David and I spend a lot of time in that Facebook group, and I just love it. I really genuinely enjoy it. It's kind of a new thing to me. Normally I'd go to places like that because I had a problem, and then I'd leave. Whereas I open Facebook and I click the Beaver Builder group on the left menu just to see what's happening, which is weird. But
no, I'm definitely glad you guys are in there too. Thank you for the time you spend in there. That's it's people like you that make it awesome. I feel bad sometimes that I'm not in there enough, and I definitely try and make time to get in there and answer some questions. And I same as you, Nathan. I am looking at it every time I get into Facebook and keeping a pulse on what's going on and that kind of stuff. We're pretty lucky because we've said this in other podcasts, but it's I know not every group is like that, but you get to some of those groups that can get a little toxic, and ours has stayed pretty even keel and friendly. So we've been pretty lucky there so far.
Yeah, it is You really are. That could have gone. It could have gone south so many times, and it never has. Not once that I've seen.
Yeah.
David, we've got another section. Although time is ticking on, what do you think?
Well, do you want to answer some questions about your knowledge on beavers? Very quickly. Or shall we sign off?
Oh man. maybe one question.
These are all clean. Actually, I'll give you a few. Let's see how we get on. So, a group of beavers are known as a pod, a mob, a colony, or a pride.
Colony, definitely.
Yeah, colony.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, we've said welcome to the call. That's in a couple places, I think, in our copy somewhere. Welcome to the colony. Yeah.
Cool. What's the color of the enamel of a beaver's teeth? Is it white, orange, clear, or yellow?
Oh man, I want to say yellow.
I was gonna guess yellow too, so let's roll with that one.
You'd both be wrong because it's orange apparently.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
And this one was fascinating to me for some reason. What are their eyelids like? And it's A, brown and furry, clear, thin layer of fur over double eyelids or triple eyelids, which I thought was really.
I have no clue.
I'm gonna say the thin layer of fur over double eyelids.
I know it sounds good, but actually it's clear. Apparently, it's transparent.
That was going to be the other one because I know that they swim underwater, right? So that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Oh, that does make sense.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
a cool eyelid.
How long can a beaver stay underwater? Is it 15 minutes, 5 minutes, less than 30 seconds, or 3 hours?
5 minutes.
Sure.
Any other offers?
15, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
15? Nice. 15.
Nice.
You got it.
Let's close up, shall we? That's enough beaver.
Yeah, let's knock it on the head. Yeah, it's.
Well, I appreciate that might have been my favorite section because I always love. I never thought I would have an infatuation with beavers. When if you told me that when I was 15, like, but it has been fun learning about beavers.
It's your bread and butter. Hey, listen, thanks guys. We're going to knock it on the head in a minute. We always fade out with some cheesy music, so the cheesy music at some point will come along. But before we do that, if you've been listening to this, wow, an hour and a bit now. These guys have been very generous. Robby and Justin have offered to give us a couple of gifts to give away. Number one is going to be a pro license for the Beaver Builder plugin, which is just awesome. That's really kind. They were saying they've got one, they found it in a dusty drawer, just completely abandoned, almost like an orphan. So they've brushed that one off, and it's sitting waiting for somebody, and a bunch of stickers and that kind of thing for somebody different. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to give the license to, what do you reckon, David? The first person, the 12th person?
We're not going to say. We'll pick a number between us,
okay,
and they won't know. So
okay. So we've decided, because we've decided that somebody is going to get one of these two, and it's based upon which comment you put in the Facebook group. So, for example, if you're the 3rd, and that's what we've said, or the 7th, and that's what we've decided. So basically, if you put some numbers in the Facebook group, and you can get some of that cool swag courtesy of these guys. Thank you so much for making the effort. I know that you're probably furiously busy and you've given up an hour of your valuable time. So, what are you going to be doing as soon as you hang this call up? Are you going on to do something important and revelation?
We're getting on another call.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, this is no. Thanks for having us, guys. I mean, likewise, we're all got families and it's the holidays, and I know that you guys taking your time out to put this together and do the podcast and all the videos and all the time. We really appreciate it as well. And this was fun. This was really fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally
good. Well, I'm pleased. Well, we'll say sayonara and see you another time. So this is the WP Builds podcast, episode number 6, with the founding fathers of Beaver Builder. Good night.
yeah.
Thanks.